Hello and welcome back to the Tom Langford YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing my Premier League predictions ahead of game week 12. Of course, if you want to see more content like this on the channel, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and letting me know in the comment section. Now let's go and dive into my predictions ahead of this game week. The first game of the weekend is going to be the early kickoff between Burnley and Chelsea. The last time these two sides met at Turf Moor, it was 4-1 to Chelsea, and I do believe this game is going to have a very similar scoreline. However, there is probably one thing that is going to go against that. I think for the reasons for that this game is going to have a lot of goals for Chelsea is the fact that they are very good at scoring goals, and they're also up against Burnley, who are the worst side in the league right now for expected goals conceded. The reason that I see maybe only like 3 goals for Chelsea rather than probably a complete demolition job. Number one, Scott Parker knows how to frustrate sides, knows how to set up and organise and keeps things tight at the back. And also, Chelsea have got some really big games coming up in other competitions and, of course, in the Premier League next week. In the midweek, they do face off against Barcelona. Then they face Arsenal in the Premier League. Then we head into a midweek Premier League round as well. So there's a hell of a lot of games coming up for Chelsea. And I do believe Maresca will probably identify this game as being one of those where he might rotate, maybe around the 60th minute, or potentially a weakened side from the start. And some of the big hitters do come off the bench if Chelsea really need them. So for this game, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Chelsea prediction. Heading into the 3 p.m s then, up first we do have Bournemouth versus West Ham. There's actually never been a 0-0 between these sides. West Ham come into this with actually pretty decent form, winning their past 2 games as well, with 3 goals in each of them. However, they haven't managed to keep a clean sheet since game week 3, where they did face off against Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth are on the back of back-to-back defeats, so they come into this a little bit out of form, and their best player so far this season, Semenyo, has really failed to deliver in the past 3 Premier League games. He's actually only acquired 0.08 non-penalty XGI, which is not good enough compared to what he did do in the opening 7 game weeks of the season. However, it does look like he's confirmed himself to be getting married to his long-term partner as well, so I can definitely see him going scoring, doing some sort of marriage celebration for that one. However, I can't quite pick a winner between these two sides, so I'm just going to go for 1-1. Brighton-Brentford is going to be the next game, and unlike the last one, there has actually been 2 of the last 3 meetings that have ended 0-0 between these two sides. I do feel the key components for Brighton are fully going to be kind of reliant on Welbeck and Minter. Those 2 have been the key talisman for both of their, kind of sides respectively, and have just been really, really good so far this season. Brentford, on the other hand, I feel if they are going to score in this game, it is probably going to come from a penalty. Over the past 5 seasons, they've actually been the 4th best side for accumulating penalties, and Brighton, on the other hand, have been the 3rd worst for giving away penalties. So it definitely feels like if Brentford are going to score, it's probably going to be another Igor Thiago penalty. If, of course, Brighton are going to score, it's probably going to come from Minter or Welbeck. Again, I can't quite pick a winner in this one, so I'm just going to go for 1-1. Another 3 p.m. game is going to be Fulham versus Sunderland, and interestingly, the last time these sides met in the Premier League was all the way back in 2014 with a 4-1 win for Sunderland. Interestingly, on that day, Adam Johnson secured a hat-trick. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to these days. Sunderland also come into this game off the back of a 4-game unbeaten run, especially they're going to be bouncing after that 2-2 draw against Arsenal as well. Meanwhile, Fulham have only won 1 of their last 6 Premier League sides. For me personally, I can see Sunderland taking a lot of the momentum that they've built over the past few weeks into this game and probably coming away with the win. I do feel it will be tight though, so I'm probably only just going to go for a 1-goal margin. So yeah, 1-0 to Sunderland. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest is also a 3 p.m. kickoff this Saturday. Forest, interestingly, actually went unbeaten against Liverpool last year. If you remember the infamous 1-0 win as well with the Callum Hudson-Odoi goal just outside the box, I think if there is any time to play Liverpool, this is probably their most ideal time. Obviously, Sean Dyche and the Forest boys do come into this fixture off the back of their first Premier League win against Leeds, where they did look very, very convincing for large parts of that game. Liverpool, on the other hand, have only won 1 of their last Premier League games and currently find themselves heading into this game week in 8th position. Of course, off the back of that drubbing to Manchester City as well, the 3-0 defeat could have very easily been more. Like I said, it does just feel like an ideal time to play Liverpool, and I think maybe they've potentially not found the key issues that are causing them to not have a great season. So I'm going to go bold on this one, and I'm actually going to go for a 1-0 Forest win. They're going to do the double very similar to what they did last season. I'm going to go for the 1-0. It's very bold. Let me know what you think of that one down in the comments. Like I said, I'm probably putting my neck out on the line there, but let's go Forest 1-0. And the final 3 p.m. game is going to be between Wolves and Crystal Palace. That is the last 3 p.m. kickoff we haven't gone through. And this one for me is going to have goals. Interestingly, in the past 5 meetings, Crystal Palace have scored 15 goals. That is an average of 3 goals per game. Interestingly, Wolves as well are the only side within England's top 6 divisions not to have a win so far this year. They've only got 2 points within the league. Interestingly as well, since the 21-22 season, no other side other than Wolves have given away more penalties within the Premier League as well. So I would fully expect one of the goals in this game to be a penalty. I'm extremely surprised that they haven't conceded one so far this year. I know they've got their new manager in Rob Edwards. However, I don't personally see him being able to stop the rot. I'm expecting, like I said, lots of goals in here. Palace have actually been the 3rd best side in the league for expected goals created so far this year. Mateta and Sarr are going to be on fire for this one, so I'm going to go for a 4-1 Palace win. And the final game on Saturday is going to be between Newcastle United and Manchester City. Interestingly, the last time these two sides met at St James's Park, it was a 1-1 draw. And interestingly, Newcastle's home form over the past few years has really gone under the radar. They've really managed to make St James's Park a fortress over the past few seasons under Eddie Howe. They've only had 10 losses during the past 3 seasons. They've also been the 3rd best side for goals conceded over the past 2 years. And interestingly, the main man for Manchester City, Erling Haaland, only has 1 Premier League goal against Newcastle United. City are so reliant on Erling Haaland as well. 60% of their expected goals so far this season have come from the big Norwegian lad as well. And I do feel if Newcastle can find a way to keep him quiet, which of course it seems from the stats they are able to do against a lot of sides, and especially Erling Haaland with only 1 goal against them, they potentially could be onto a win here. So again, very similar to the Liverpool game, I've gone bold. I've gone for a 1-0 win for Newcastle. Like I said, if they can manage to find a way to keep Haaland quiet, I do think they could potentially get something out of this result. So like I said, I'm going for a 1-0 Newcastle win. Leeds versus Aston Villa is the first game on Sunday, a 0-0 draw the last time these two sides met at Ellen Road back in 2022. Villa have really turned a corner in recent weeks. They've actually only lost 1 of their last 8 Premier League games. Despite a pretty slow and kind of, sludgy start, they've really found their feet and started to get themselves back amongst the wins and picking up points all across the board as well. And especially that 4-0 win, kind of that 4-0 blowout, that I don't think a lot of people were expecting against Bournemouth last, obviously, game week, has really put them on a lot more people's radar. Leeds, on the other hand, have only had 1 win in their last 5 Premier League games and have also conceded 3 goals in their past 2 Premier League games as well. I think with Villa's momentum that they're really building right now, I think this is probably going to be a comfortable win, and I really don't know how long Daniel Farke has left as the Leeds United manager, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Aston Villa this week. The big game of the weekend, of course, is the North London derby on Super Sunday at 4:30. Spurs, interestingly, have failed to win the last 6 meetings between these two sides, but there is a big absence for Arsenal this week. It is looking highly likely that Gabriel is going to miss the North London derby. However, he doesn't seem to be that big and kind of a player in terms of Arsenal's overall clean sheet abilities during his time out of the club. Last season, he missed longest 10 games in the season. Still, during that run, Arsenal only conceded 10 goals and kept 4 clean sheets as well. The bookmakers are also still suggesting a heavy Arsenal win with over 2 projected goals and a 46% chance of a clean sheet. Spurs have been really dreadful for the underlying data, and really from an eye test perspective, I think for me personally, they're a very fortunate club to be in the place that they are right now within the league table. I do though think it is a derby. It's going to be cagey, but I really can't see Spurs breaking that 6-game winless run in the North London derby. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Arsenal win on that one. And the final game of Premier League game week 12 is between Manchester United and Everton. This one takes place on Monday night. And again, expect goals in this one. There hasn't been a 0-0 between these two sides within the Premier League since 2004. During that period, United have gone on a unbeaten run of 8 games, and Everton haven't kept a clean sheet in 8 of those fixtures as well. United, with their goals for and goals conceded so far this season, are definitely going to score plenty, but they're probably also going to concede. They're a pretty poor side for expected goals conceded. The only blessing that they might have is Beto and Barry for Everton, or realistically the Chuckle brothers. Only 1 goal between them so far, and they've managed to accumulate 5.23 XG. Just a hell of a lot of XG, hell of a lot of chances, but no real output. That might be potentially United's saving grace and potentially keep them for a clean sheet this week. But like I said, with their poor expected goals conceded numbers, I'm still expecting them to concede 1. So I've gone with, again, a goals plenty within the game, a 2-1 win for Manchester United. Let me know what you think of my Premier League predictions down in the comment section. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you for game week 13.